Mm.
Are we muted?
Did y'all hear all that?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I had logged in to do recording, and it gave me this long announcement. I didn't know what y'all can hear and what y'all can't hear.
Mm.
What were you saying, Anna? It cut out on me.
No, I was saying I go out every day. And I just, in spite of my disability, my brain pressure, Alice is tomorrow, Alice, and then Linda Moore, her, she gives an angelic therapy. I mean, literally, she calls every from Buddha to Christ to every single angel and avatar and the Pleiadians came, during my, they say I'm a Pleiadian, so they fill the room, which is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
Who is this person?
Linda Moore. She's once in a while. She was here last time.
Linda Moore. That would be an interesting experience.
She was nurse to Dr. Key for 30 years. And she started as a Reiki master, but then she expanded to practically every system that we know.
Anna, she's in New Orleans?
Yes, she's in New Orleans.
Yeah, she came to some of the retreats that Jude had done. Do you remember the one we did at the doctor's house in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Living there. Yeah, she came there. And then she went on some of the retreats to some of the other places we went to.
With Dr. Key.
No.
Yeah.
Joyce, sounds like we need to make a road trip.
I think so. I would love to have her information. Would that be okay?
Oh, sure. I mean, she's always open to different ones. She was on the call last week.
No, she was on the call, but she's not open. She is so busy. I had to book 6 months ahead, once a month. She can only take me once a month. I would love to do at least twice a month.
Oh, wow.
And also Alice. Alice is so busy, only once a month, 50 minutes.
Wow. Anna, do they do workshops or retreats?
No.
No, they just do therapy.
Okay. Yeah.
No workshop.
Elise has an office over there behind Causeway and Veterans. She's been back there a long time. But it is hard to get in with. I mean, she sees everyone. I mean, sports injuries, a lot of children, babies. I mean, she really does.
I had to wait 2 years until LaDonna left. I don't know if LaDonna is here.
She's not.
She left, I took her spot. And I just get it once, and if I miss it, I miss it. She cannot fit me in.
I know. It's a lot. Anyway, okay. Well, here we are for what is today? July 14th, Cancer New Moon Telecall. So, I started the recording early because I thought we might get into some talking of stuff, and then I got to do the tone too. But yeah, I mean, it's such a very intense energy time, and I know I say that of this retrograde in Cancer, and it's really taking us to just our very cores. The core of who we are, but it's the core of the emotional body, and it's a lot. I tried to send as many of the astrology people as I could find last night. I didn't think about it till this morning to send the email. It's my life. It's just been really crazy lately. Oh, okay. Let me do the muting. Okay, that's quiet now. So it's really just in really crazy, intense times, and just different people that I've spoken to. Everyone is going through, it feels like some sort of trauma, drama, family dynamic that's shifting or bringing some new deep level of awareness. And it's a lot. So I've had a really interesting 2 weeks since we talked last. I mean, some of it's family stuff, which I won't even go into at all. But part of it, when we're talking about the aging process a while ago, Anna, with your 84, Joyce 80, in your 80s now, it's like everybody's getting into these later ages, and I've always watched this, but it feels like that more and more people are able to age without going through so much. Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on the soul journey. Some people are still taking a lot of the karmic residue. I mean, we're always constantly clearing. I mean, that's one thing for sure. I mean, I don't know that we ever completely clear everything. But while we are, in the process of all of that, it's difficult because as we go through the soul progression, as far as an awareness, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, then of course you have the physicality, the physical body that actually processes the aging, and that journey is very unique to every human being. I mean, I've seen some people that go from, birth to 30, and the whole life cycle went, through a whole disease patterning. And then even though they're 30, they're still at the end of life, death space, that part where the body goes through total disintegration. And it certainly is not, in a place where it goes through very much grace. And again, I mean, the life paths we all share are completely unique to us because the souls all come here to learn something very unique for each of us. And again, it's part of it's the genetic and ancestral inheritances, it's the karmic inheritances, in addition to the karma stuff that we play out here, until of course we go through and transmute enough, to keep us where we're at least in a place where we're not having to stay in disease patterning. And I mean, as I mentioned before, I certainly did not see Judith going into the disease pattern with the cancer, as it did. I mean, I really thought we were going in and transmuting a lot of that, and that it didn't happen for whatever reason. Well, there's many reasons behind it, of course. At the end of the day, though, there's always places within ourselves where we have to go in and a deeper level where we have to shift this, we have to make this aware, bring awareness to this, we have to transmute that. And I mean, for everyone, it's different. And also, too, it gets complex when you start going in and working with the energies that are beyond your own personal I am presence. And that's really what I feel the energy of this is opening up for all of us. Most people are not aware of that because most people don't have awareness past their, past 6 feet in front of their face. Most people are so busy attending whatever is the immediacy in their life. And again, I've said this so many times, everything's a frequency. So if you've not, done the inner work to shift your frequency as far as the out picturing in the outer world, then, so many people implode on themselves because they're stuck in the frequency density, and they don't get out of it. And I would like to think it's things like doing what we do, trying to go in and meditate and come into cohesive, group, prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it. We're still working with our field individually, but we're doing it collectively. And then we also shift the field because, I mean, whatever we're doing internally has to reverberate out. I mean, it's the drop in the ocean that goes out. So everything we clear, we're clearing for humanity as well. And who's to say that it's not helping each of us gracefully age and transmute stuff that we've been carrying, for years. I mean, when I look back at my own past journeys and I think about who I was, 10, 15, 30 years ago, and where I'm at now, it's like, I mean, it's unrecognizable. And I think we could all probably say that. And it doesn't mean that everyone's, journeys have been easy or graceful, or we've all certainly had challenges, things either that happen to the emotional body, mental body, spiritual or physical. It's a lot. LaDonna said, I told her, we'll miss her. She says, I know, I'm sitting in Charleston on a rooftop bar. Oh my gosh. But she's here in spirit, she says. Literally spirits. That's funny. So, it's like this Cancer retrograde, it really is meant to take us to the emotional core. And again, it's happening like I've always mentioned. Everything is personal, but it's also collective. And there's all these different levels of collective awareness that come in. It's collective within your family dynamic, your business dynamic, neighbors, friends, whatever it is. And then, of course, your city, your state, your nation, whatever, so on and so forth. But then you're also part of the world human collective, when we go into that larger collective awareness. And then you go beyond the human into cosmic awareness, which, that's just the crystalline, eternal soul expression. Of course, we're stuck here in physicality. I say stuck, but we all choose to be here in the physicality. But the essence, the core essence of who we are is always eternal, even though we go through the life path and then we get to that point where the body ages. And there are other people that have the modalities, for helping us heal and do, and whether it's in the physical, through, wonderful cranial sacral like Elise, massage therapy, chiropractic like Mike, Reiki, like Linda, and, several others, and Joyce, and there's so many different things that we can do to shift energy, and everyone has, a valid way of doing it, and the souls always shift. And we used to have Jude. I mean, she was going in and assisting us on deep quantum shifting just through pure transcendental meditation, which is really what we're still doing with these calls. When we go in, we're taking ourselves into the coherence of where we're at in that particular moment of time. When I discuss the astrology and the bigger dynamics, that can bring awareness that takes your soul into a place. Each person that listens to the call will be activated in a very unique way. It will bring a personal awareness. There can be just one thing that I say or somebody else says something, and it takes you into just a deeper part of the psyche that wants to release something, the emotional body that's holding and carrying something that you say, you know what, I really don't need to carry that anymore. And so the main thing with this is to know it's always a journey, though. I mean, it doesn't matter where we're at, what we're doing, but the way the big picture dynamics work is what is up for discussion right now. Outside of this Cancer retrograde, Mercury retrograde, we have this alignment coming up within the next week. Coming, more direct. I think it's on the 20th of July. As a matter of fact, let me pull the. Let's see. Where's my email? Okay. I wanted to read something from someone else. I mean, there's several people who have written about this, but just to give you an idea of the Barbault's basket, this is Andre Barbault, who was a French astrologer. He's been writing about this for a long time. Well, a lot of them have, but it was named after him. And it's basically because of the configuration of the planets that were going to lock into place, the outer planets, because he was always doing his work to try to understand the cycles and patterns for humanity during the major historical periods and the shifts and what we're changing and things. And of course, everybody likes to say, oh, this is the exact alignment. Oh, this is, well, it's like everything else. It's like when the Mayan calendar ended, the world didn't end. We're all still here. There wasn't any big fanfare. There wasn't any of this. And, the 1999 to 2000, the computer's going to shut down. Well, yes and no. Everybody builds these things up. But what happens is it really is something where all of this change happens over time. All of the outer planets, they have way long orbits. I mean, Uranus is like 84 years. Neptune is 160. Pluto is 248 years. And of course, all the trans-Neptunian planets beyond that they talk about, they're in 300 and 400 year cycles. So, I mean, you're talking about way slow evolution as far as soul work, but that's again personal and interpersonal and collective. But of course, Jupiter's every 12 years, Saturn's 29. So when you look at the way that all those things function, though, we're not going to wake up one day and the world changed. Yes, you can have some things that happen that end up being moments where you do have huge change. Like it's usually when politicians in different countries, world leaders have made a choice to go bomb this one or go, do something awful. And then so you have change because someone precipitated the change, which set, a whole big, cycle forward, the world wars, things like that. COVID, when that got released on us, all of those things were chosen very specifically. But I want to read this a little bit so it gives you a bit of an idea of what's happening with it. This particular thing, I just happened to read this afternoon. Serena something Fatale or something, I don't know, maybe Italian. Anyway, but she says, if you've been anywhere near astrology, you've probably seen people talking about this most important transit of this century, and that's what a lot of them are doing it. And so I say it's not important, but she says a lot of people are excited about it, but that statement, lends more to do online. It's a complex planetary cycle. She wants to clarify it is a big transit, but not because the universe flips the switch between July the 15th and July the 25th. Much of the pressure has been building over time. Outer planets work slowly. They reveal patterns developing over the years and exact aspects that mark a peak point, much larger the story. But and then for this, specifically called Barbault's basket. And she talks about him a bit here, but let's see. It says he was never predicting an instant golden age. Talks about the cycles over time. But anyway, here's the structure. So she says it's connecting to the larger restructuring we've been moving through since 2020. And I don't think it was a mistake that so much of the world got shut down with COVID. I think that was done on purpose. I think it was done to create limitation of movement. It was meant to definitely create huge fear-mongering in people. These things don't just happen out of, out of happenstance. God doesn't bring us COVID and unleash something. Okay, so it says between July 15th and 25th, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all reach 4 degrees of their signs. Jupiter at 4 degrees Leo, Uranus at 4 degrees Gemini, Neptune at 4 degrees Aries, and Pluto at 4 degrees Aquarius. Saturn's also nearby in Aries, still carrying the themes from its conjunction earlier this year, which was, if I remember right, it was February the 14th, I believe. And that's when I told you that, Neptune's the dream, the delusion dissolving, or also being built in many cases, depending on each person's perspective. But Saturn's there to give it structure. And the fact that they meet up, they happen, but to happen at, the beginning of Aries, it's just, that hasn't happened in thousands of years. Not in this way. So the exact aspects happen in this order. It's just, actually, I won't even go through those. There's a lot of sextiles. So she says when you draw this out, you get what's known as the basket configuration. And Jupiter is opposite Pluto, creating the tension at the top, while Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto create the supportive structure underneath. And then she talks about the Libra moon on the 19th stepping into the pattern, becoming the handle of the basket, bringing the larger collective energy into something much more personal. And of course, you had this Cancer retrograde going on, and that tied in the moon with all of that in that last moon cycle, and because they were conjunct. That's just me putting that in. So she says a lot of people are calling this the basket of opportunity, but I think the name is misleading. Opportunity does not always arrive to look like a gift. Sometimes it comes through disruption, through realizing something you've built your life around no longer fits, or through being forced to create something new because the old structure has reached its limit. To me, that is a very powerful statement, but it's always true. It's not like today is any other, it's different than any other day, but we're always, I think, as we're living life, I've said this before, when we're sitting in the middle of our own lives, so much of the time we are in reaction to whatever's happening in life from other people, places, circumstances. How can we be here no matter what's happening around us and just stand like a major tree in a hurricane, and you don't have to move, you don't have to respond, you don't have to do anything. You are just there as pure presence, and your movement comes from an internal place that you sit in precipitation of. In other words, your soul is much more deeply grounded in the I am presence of the all that is, and you're only in movement when spirit moves you, not out of reaction to something or someone else. And this is a huge distinction. And I've talked about this in a lot of the calls, but the fact that, people are talking about this being an opportunity, it's always an opportunity. But it's creating, depending on what's happening in people's charts, it may create forced movement. And that can happen in a lot of ways. But so she talks about the biggest tension in this configuration comes from Jupiter and Leo opposing Pluto and Aquarius. Jupiter in Leo wants visibility, confidence, creativity, courage to step forward, reminding you that we're allowed to take up space and believe in what we're capable of creating. And Jupiter expanding whatever it touches, confidence can become ego, leadership can become control, personal ambition can become disconnected from the bigger picture. So that would tell me if you have people in political worlds, confidence being ego, leadership being control, if people have these things in their charts and they're getting really activated, you can end up with just complete egomaniacs. And we're seeing it all over the world stage. And it's in every country, it's all over. But what I think is happening is all of these things are activating certain souls to be bulls in a china shop, more so than you've ever seen before. But at the same time, if you didn't have these things pushing the souls individually and collectively in to create change, most people won't do anything. Most people will not get out of their ruts. They won't get out of bed. They won't turn off the television. They won't do something for themselves or humanity or the collective. We get very stuck in habituated patterning. we get stuck in all of these, just gutter spaces, and we feel like we can't get out sometimes. So she's saying here, Pluto in Aquarius asks a different question: who holds power, who benefits, and what needs to change? It's a larger conversation playing out through the opposition, the individual versus the collective. Now, Jupiter does move faster than the other planets, so this Pluto-Jupiter opposition won't last as long. I mean, it will be here for a bit of time, but she, is talking about, we need people willing to create, lead, and innovate, but we also need accountability when power becomes unchecked. And so right now you don't have a lot of accountability, and you don't have anyone checking, for things. Moon in Libra, adds another layer. It brings it into the emotional world. Neptune in Aries, she explains, is dissolving old ideas around identity, independence, the way we define ourselves, can bring up questions on where we compromise too much, where we lose ourselves trying to keep the peace, or where we have confused avoiding conflict with creating harmony. And I think that's a very, very true thing. And she said, this is where collective becomes personal. And you've got Uranus and Gemini, Neptune, Aries. But Uranus and Gemini changes how information moves. Gemini rules communication, media, technology, ideas. Uranus disrupts whatever it touches. So I think the way that we communicate with ourselves around the world, I think that really changes. I would go one step further, and I've talked about this before, because Neptune in Aries is about the I am presence. Gemini, with this aspect, would even take us into reworking how we communicate with ourselves, with our presence, on the deepest micro level. I think I may have talked about that in the last call. To me, I'm going beyond all of the stuff that most astrologers talk about in the mundane world. I'm going into core awareness. So, anyway, so she talks about, we're likely to, be seeing major shifts in how information is created, shared, understood, and that is true. It would not surprise me if during this time that the current internet shifts to the quantum internet. I mean, it's always been operational, but they've threatened to, they tell us we're going to be in the quantum, stuff coming up online at some point, but that's the kind of thing that would happen with this kind of energy. The quantum internet is a completely different dynamic. It operates in ways where it can't be tracked. I mean, it's just purely spontaneous. I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not even going to attempt. But the question, she puts here, the question is not only what information do we have access to, but who controls the narrative, what gets amplified, and how quickly public perception can change. That's a big deal. It's always true, but it may go exponentially fast now. It's always been, they've always controlled the narrative. They always control, what stories get put out. That's what was called the Associated Press. The Associated Press used to put out the main stories they wanted put out in the world. I mean, if you think about it, the news cycle really works where it puts out 95% of death, destruction, the most awful things happening around the planet. It does it locally, it does it states, it does it by nations, it does it through the world. They literally create the news machine through fear. Then they'll throw you a puff piece at the end and say, oh, in other places, I had this one little boy over here that helped this dog, from getting run over. This person helped an old person. It's like they give you one positive thing that you'll never, it gets lost in all the other crap. And we wonder why our frequencies are so diminished. And until that changes, a lot of people are they're going to stay in that lower frequency creation. And it's really sad, especially here in the United States. And everybody's got a phone in front of them. That she talks about here, Neptune and Aries brings the focus inward. I just said that. It begins questioning the versions of ourselves that we've built. Are we living from who we truly are, or from who we learned or needed to become? So that really is the core, I feel, of what's happening with this Barbault's basket. And it really is a continuation of this Cancer Mercury retrograde dynamic of what's happening. So I'm going to go in and pull the charts here. Hold it. Where is my... That's not the one I'm looking for. I pulled the wrong spreadsheet up, I believe, here. Actually, I think it's this one. Okay, astrologers. So, what I've been doing the last 2 weeks, and I don't know why I never thought about doing it before, but so everything, we have our individual energy of who we are as an expression, and that shows up around the sky. And you get the planets, the personal chart. Astrologers will pull your natal chart, and they'll pull progressions to find out where the planets are now, and it helps assist them in telling you where you're on your life path. As everything is relationship, everything around us has, all people have a birth time. All cities have a birth time. Anything that's created has a birth time. Businesses have a birth time. And astrologers will pull all those types of things and dynamics, whatever it is you're wanting to know about the energy, and then they put them together. And so you have two natal charts. You've got you, the other person, you, the business, you, whatever. And then you have the progressions, which is the progression where it is today between the time you're born or the time it was born or whatever it is. And then you have the composite midpoint energies. And they pull a composite chart, and you can do that both from the natal charts as well as the progressed charts, because it shows what the two of you are, you and something else, what the composite energy plays out like. And I've also said this before with the astrology, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Are we here because the planets are moving us energetically into a different configuration, a new expression, or are we waking up as we start to go through and look at the astrological charts, and then we gain some wisdom because of the interpretation that someone gives us from reading those charts? So what I did, I don't know why I didn't think about doing it before, but I pulled the charts for the Astrodance computer, which is the computer in Zurich, Switzerland. That's the world computer pulling all this astrological information. And I pulled their natal chart, the progressed chart, and then I pulled a composite chart, which would basically be the combined energy of me and the Astrodance company. Now, when you look at that, then you have to go in and you think about all the dynamics that make up a company. And so you have, when the company when it begins, you have the founders that created the people, the energy. You've got an overall energy with an entity like that. Kind of like a person. A person has a birth chart, but the person has a genetic and ancestral inheritance. Depending on, I've not read this anywhere about, if astrologers can really, I guess, understand a genetic or an ancestral inheritance as far as traits and things like that. I mean, obviously, whatever traits you're playing out are coming from that too, but they're also learned because of the environment you're in. But the business, it's a living, breathing thing because of the people that bring it together. The unique thing about this business is the fact that it is created to study planets. The people are there to create it. They collectively create the energy with it, And I'm using this as a specific dynamic because it's a really powerful realization I've had in the last 2 weeks, and I never thought to look at it like this, and I should, because it's astrology. But when I started looking at, I pulled all the progressions, all the composite progressions, everything else. Simple things just blew me away. The natal and progressed Neptune is sitting in the galactic center, which is my energy and that computer energy together sits in the galactic center, the center of the Milky Way, everything that revolves around us. That's the Neptune, it's the dream, it's all these things. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The connection of the other planets, the things that we have going together, I mean, I'm not going to list them all, but I mean, it puts, their progressed sun is on my Neptune. Their Neptune and Jupiter are sitting next together on their midheaven in the sky, which is how you present yourself to the world. Their progressed Uranus is sitting, next to it. The progressed Mercury is coming up to it. And then asteroids like Mastermind, Merlin, Meta, Tesla, DNA, all these things are lining up. When I pull my names, they're sitting all over these main planets between the two of us. I mean, I'm blown away. So that doesn't necessarily mean that I would do something with the company, but it means the energy of me choosing to use that company computer has created something really big, especially since a lot of those things end up being on galactic points. The Great Attractor, the Galactic Center, the Super Galactic Center, and the Shapley Attractor. And I don't remember, I think I had sent an email from Philip Sedgwick, who's an astrologer, that talks about how those galactic points work. And if you have, things on those points, and of course every astrologer interprets them, uniquely and differently, but the fact that, I've got so many things in common with this computer would lead me to, come to a realization that this got created, all these planetary things over the last 3 years by me, because I'm on a frequency level. I match the frequency of the AstroDance computer, the AstroDance business. That's going to be interesting. And when I send this thing to them to have a discussion about this, so we'll see how this happens, or how it works out. But I never would have thought there would be so much detail, until I really immersed in this. And I'm laying out the dynamics now for when I do the video on this to send it out. But I actually showed it to a couple of people at the gym, and they were just blown away. They're like, "Wow, that's a lot." And I was like, "Yeah, it is a lot." So we'll see. But the thing that's happening with some of this, like right now, where the planets are all at. If people are like at the beginning of Scorpio, you have the Shapley Attractor. The Haumea, Pam Greger talked about Haumea quite a bit. Haumea is one of the dwarf planets that's named, more after Hawaiian sense, but it really is about birthing, and this is primordial birthing. I mean, I'm talking about ancient birthing. It's vast, but it's sitting in the Shapley Attractor. And it's sitting on the composite and progressed chart Uranus between me and that computer in Switzerland. My last name is sitting on top of the Uranus and the Shapley Attractor, as well as the Saturn of the Astro computer. Saturn's what somebody comes here to do. It's also on their progressed descendant. Now, I know a lot of that's astrological stuff. The point is, and their progressed Pluto is there. That's a lot of energy in one space. And what are the chances that my last name are sitting right in the middle of it? I mean, I really don't think there's any coincidences in anything on the planet. I think everything happens for a reason. Everything happens in proper timing. But we've got a lot of birthing at the beginning of Scorpio energies. The other thing that's interesting the John asteroid is coming up and overtaking the Gregory asteroid next week, sitting on top of the supergalactic center. I mean, it's crazy. The composite natal and progressed karma between me and that computer is sitting in the supergalactic center. I mean, it's wild. So, I guess the main reason I point that out is to say, is there a bigger picture to the universe? Are you changed forever when you come in contact with another person that's outside of your sphere, of your family, and whatever else? I would say the answer to that is yes. And I'm using the Astrodance computer as the example. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the deeper specifics about, I mean, most of you probably don't understand most of the astrology, but I could definitely make a case, to say that, I mean, we are kind of set up, on a life path. At the same time, we're still making conscious choices. It's like, I never thought I would be creating something like this 3 years ago. And what I have created has been like this whole long thing. I've not made money out of it. It's like something that had to be, coming from the core of my soul. And for each of you, whoever you are is listening, what is it that you have been creating for the last, especially since 2020? Because all of that is really about to be blown out of the water. With Jupiter going into Leo right now, all of these energies are just really about to catapult us forward in a very big way. And let me see. The other thing that's going to happen is when on the 27th, I think it is, the nodes change, which the nodes are actually the part of the moon, which is, it's the path, the nodal path. They shift during the eclipse times. They stay more on 1 degree. They don't move as fast. It's because of the wobble of the Earth and the moon path. And so, but when it changes signs, we're going to be going into a completely new arena internally, as far as an emotional journey for 18 months, as well as a collective shift. And when you take that on top of, these Uranian, Neptunian, Pluto, all these transformational things, these are all of the outer planets, except for Saturn. Saturn's not far, but it puts us in a whole new reality. And Mercury's going to go direct on the 23rd. That's only 9 days from now. The sun will go from Cancer into Leo, which is going to change, the way that it lights us up. And but this Mercury retrograde, again, it will not leave Cancer until the 9th of August, and then it will go into Leo. And it's going to complete that journey right before these eclipses come up. And the new moon solar eclipse, the first one, is going to be at 20 degrees of Leo. That's right on my ascendant, which is who I am out in the world. So how's that going to work out? I don't know. There's an asteroid. Well, there's 8 asteroids that have astro at the beginning of them, like astrology type things. But this one is Astro Wizard, and it's got my name right on top of it in my chart on the Leo world point. And that would suggest to me that what I'm doing would go out into the outer world. The sun's there, it would light it up. Jupiter's in that sign, blowing up everything it's doing on Copernicus. And Copernicus was very instrumental in laying out the skies. And so, who knows? I'm not going to project any value onto them. They're just going to stay in the moment and move forward with things. But the point is, right now, there's a lot of things being birthed, either consciously or unconsciously. I've been working consciously with this energy, creating something out of nothing. I mean, like this has been spirit given. You know, I kept getting a feeling, oh, do this, go do this, go do this. And I've been doing all these things, like for seemingly no reason. But I think this is the moment where we have forward movement because of the way that Uranus is in Gemini. This is communication, all astrology charts. I mean, all of this is Uranus in Gemini, and it could upend how you perceive reality. So I'm just saying that that's one way that I can tell you that's grounded for me, that I think is going to shift. So the question is, you know, for each of you as listeners, though, is there anything that's happening in your own lives, in your own awareness? And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something so simple as like maybe you're in part of your journey in transmuting some really heavy densities that you've carried, either emotional densities. It could be mental things that you've been having a problem letting go of, either through family or friends or, you know, some other dynamic. I mean, it literally can be anything. You can have an idea. You may want to move. You may want to make a huge change in your life. After this Cancer retrograde, you're gonna have answers. And I don't think there's any mistake about the fact that Mercury's going to go retrograde, go direct, right before it goes into the eclipses. So this is taking us into the core of who we are. The eclipses will happen, and like everything else, we'll either be consciously ready to move forward with decisions and create action, or there'll be action around us that happens, and it necessitates movement. And of course, we talk about this all the time with eclipses. They're always, you know, Stephanie Azari always called them sideways elevators, which I never really kind of understood. But it kind of just moves you from one reality to another. I'm not sure if they don't really act like as a portal that takes us individually and collectively into another shift of a dimensional shift. And some people's realities completely change because the dynamics of, you know, circumstances in their lives change. A house could burn down. A tree could fall in the house. I mean, you have all sorts of things that could change your physical, you know, where you live physically. If it happened in the house of Cancer or, you know, something like that, or you had something Uranus hitting this. I mean, I don't know all the specifics of things. Astrologers could tell you things that they've seen all these years, but there's big things like that usually create change. If you are making the changes yourself, though, consciously, is it something where you progress your soul in a natural state just through awareness, rather than have to have the universe bring something to you? And I guess I'm bringing that up because we do have these eclipses coming up. The other thing that I've talked about too, we've also talked about how time has been totally going through disintegration, and I do think that's true. The old dynamic really was cause-effect reality through karma. You put something out in the world, you're going to get something back. A lot of times that had a huge time delay. You know, it was something like, you know, you did this last lifetime, you're going to have to deal with it this lifetime. Or if you did something in this lifetime, you could get a karmic return next week. You might get it, you know, 30, 40, 50 years. But it may be put off until you're toward the end of life path. I mean, some people are given grace of just letting, you know, themselves live a good life, but then in the last month or two, they have some awful thing happen to them, which is closing out the karmic patterning and the densification, so it lessens it before you go back into the oneness flow, before, you know, you go back and assimilate and you give up the physicality of the body. And again, I mean, this is I want to be clear about this. The soul is eternal. You know, you don't die. You just leave the physicality. If that doesn't feel true to you, spit it out. I mean, just because I'm saying something, I don't want to ever think that I'm God telling you the way the world is. I mean, we may all, you know, just leave here in physical and then go back, and then there's a bigger joke that's on us. I mean, I don't know. But from what I've done with Jude and reading, you know, years and years of all this stuff, that's the way I feel it to be. And we'll see what happens. But the point is, if you can go through and shift as much of your densification as you can, this is a great time to do it with this Cancer retrograde. And if you can make conscious choices for yourself and family and whoever else going into this eclipse window, which is August the 12th through the 27th, that's going to be a really powerful time because of the fact the nodes are changing signs. The South Node is going into Leo, which is kind of like that king presence. It's like, how do you roar out in the world? Well, with the South Node going through that, that's going to be past life stuff. It can be, you know, previous stuff in this lifetime you're still working with, but you can use, you'll draw from wisdom. Let's just say that. Draw from wisdom of your past to create your future. And the opposite of that, of course, is the North Node, and it's backing up into Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of the people. It's the collective. The North Node going through that is future creations, future energy, new beginnings. It's all these kind of things. And, of course, they go backwards. And they're always in opposition, so whatever they're hitting are creating opposition, which is huge pressure points, as you were. And so the interesting thing for me, like the South Node is coming up on my, progressed Jupiter moved into Virgo, but my natal Jupiter is at 25, and it was moving through these 25 last part of Leo for my whole lifetime. And now the South Node is coming across it. As a matter of fact, right now it's sitting on my Jupiter at 0 degrees on the Regulus star in Virgo. And the Astro Wizard is right on top of all that in my chart. So suppose I'm being an Astro Wizard right now, I guess. I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But I don't think it's any mistake that whatever's happening in your life at any given moment of time is necessary for the soul transition of wherever you're at in that moment. And when you get to the place where you release so much, you release expectation, you release the need to know, you release any of the structures that keep you, from being in the highest conscious creation. That's really when you move forward. And I think the new moon in Leo, that solar eclipse, new moons bring they're beginnings of things. That's actually going to be on my natal ascendant in Leo. And the Jung and John asteroids are on top of each other in the composite chart. I mean, it is amazing what all's there. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I think if you can sit in the deepest essence of who you are at any given moment of time, nothing may appear to be happening in the external world form. And I say that for this reason. It depends on where you are in soul progression. And most people on this call are definitely in their 60s or 70s. Most people are probably in the 70s. And definitely 60s and 70s. I'm 58, but and 80s. Got a couple in the 80s. But the good thing is that no matter where you are in age physicality, the soul essence can still feel like it's having the inner child play out in a wonderful way. you can still feel like a teenager. You can still feel like you're in your 20s or 30s because that's the part you're identifying with. So it really is. It's like a play to identify with the youthful aspect of who you are and not identify with the aging of the physicality. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does the body age in physicality because you're going chronologically through time, or does it age because we slowly give up on different parts of living life, and then the body slows down because we've given up our sovereignty, because we've lost the capacity to go in and look at the world as the primal child, as pure innocence. I mean, so much of my family has an older dynamic. Am I going to get to 105 or 110 or 20? I don't know. The other things happening with that, technological advances may shift things in such a way where it's able to shift our frequencies. They've always known that we can, heal through frequencies. They're doing it with sound and light for quite some time. It's just not been made mainstream because the people that are in the medical mafia are making too much money through the destruction of the human genome, through the destruction of human in physicality. They've put in such distortion with regards to pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, they're literally killing us from the inside out. It's a poisoning if you look at it in bigger picture dynamics. But I mean, that would never be allowed to be articulated out in public because I'd be a bit careful. They may try to off me for saying such a thing, but it's really true. I mean, all the side effects that are created, I don't have to tell y'all. It's like all the older people I know, almost none of them are on medication. One of my aunts is on like 4 or 5 of them, but the other aunt is 90. One medication, she doesn't even take that a lot. My dad's 83, no medication. And he was on medications before, and I think it actually made him worse with different things several years ago. But the reason I guess it's all being brought up is because you're still at a choice point now, especially as where we are in age. If you can stay away from any of the distortion with regards to food sources, if you can work on getting more structured water, if you can work with the water you're taking in, not just through like maybe a Brita filter. I'm using Brita filters this last year. I guess I've been on the filtered water. Because they have literally contaminated so much of what we're taking in, the air, of all of it. But if you can stay as much as you can in that as far as physical, but then also really cleaning out what's left of the emotional and mental baggage. And I know I go through this when we go into the meditation portions of these calls. But it's really, and I mean, sometimes I wonder, it's like, okay, we can go again and clear some more. And it's like Spirit's like, if you're here in physicality, you're always clearing something. There's always something left to clear. Another, level of this or a layer of that, or what have you. And it's part of the human process. And let's see here. I went through a lot of these configurations on the last call, so I'm not going to go deep into the astrology again. Just definitely read what's there, but I think I want to spend as much time in a recalibration in the meditation work this time, because I mean we really, I think, are going to benefit from just going in more. I mean, if you've been on these calls the last few times, and most of you have, you've already gotten through the bulk of it. The reason that this moon is so powerful is because of the fact that Mercury retrograde is like literally sitting on it within 2 or 3 degrees. And the thing that's interesting with this, the sun has just come across the composite natal sun between me and the AstroDance computer. I mean, at the Mercury retrograde. And it's on the composite progressed ascendant. The messenger asteroid's there. Another astrology asteroid sitting on top of it. The Swiss air, I mean, it's in Switzerland. These are all composites. The other interesting thing is that the bottom of the chart, which is the Emblem Jelly, it's the core of who you are as an essence. It's your core family, how you create. The Gaia asteroid, Earth Gaia asteroid, is on either side of it. So there's all this Earth energy that's immersed in the creation of all of this. And again, I mean, we're still in the retrograde. It does not go direct until the 23rd. So you've still got over a week of sitting in this, part of whoever it is you are, but we're doing it collectively as well. The other thing that's interesting about this, the Judith asteroid that's progressed in my chart is sitting right on top of my name. Judith progressed all the way up to be on top of my name. She's at 2816. My name is at 2841 in the natal chart. You can't make this up. And it's, this Cancer retrograde, retrograded right before that, and it's going to come across it afterwards. So, I mean, I do think Judith's soul is working right here with me and with you guys. I don't think that's ever, something for me to question. The other thing that was interesting, so the composite sun between me and the computer, my name in the computer chart is right next to the composite progressed sun, and my name is sitting on the sun with the composite chart. I mean, it's just all it does is really kind of validate what's happening. So, okay. I think that's all the astrology that I'm going to really kind of go into. I didn't do as much of it because we've done more of it before, but again, I mean, Spirit really wanted me to go into more of the meditative work. I really think this, because of the Cancer retrograde, the emotional body, I want to take all of us into the deeper parts of that and really work to shift, the energy of what we're doing. And the main way to do that is to get a deep dive. So, if you are not in your comfortable place, you'll find that. And whether it's your couch or your recliner or your bed or wherever, just really lay out and get comfortable, because the more comfortable you are, the deeper you'll be able to go in. Level. I really feel like because of what we're doing, this is going to let us go really, really deep. Because the retrograde's in Cancer, it is really going to the core of the emotional body. We're going to go into the Dantian, which is basically the third chakra, the stomach area, because that's where we process emotions. It's where we hold emotions. It's why when you feel sick to your stomach, or if you have butterflies when you're falling in love, it's where we process all of the emotive parts of the life path. what's getting cleared out. So if you have any stuck places with emotions you've carried, things that you should have let go, and I know we clear these things all the time, but I still feel like that we've still got to clear out and purely go to 0 point. So that when we go into the next moon, it'll be a full moon. I want to say it's in Aquarius. I forgot. Also, if definitely watch, any of Pam's videos, Pam Gregory, on YouTube. I mean, she really, I think, has, and some of the people she's, does the interviews with. I mean, definitely, listen to some of those, and they'll give you, I think, some really good. She and Stefan Burns actually did one recently that was really good. Sometimes it goes a little lengthy on a couple things, but I mean, he gives a lot of specifics with what's happening in the sky and how that works and things, and just really, really very open thought process. It can open up and activate things, but this level of work reminds me of when I was working with Jude and one of the other clients that had more Jellins, and it was one of the times that was more intense when I was able to go in and perceive this person's soul throughout all sorts of places in the cosmos. I never dreamed that I would be doing that, and yet I did. And Jude was like, "Oh my God, that's right on." And even the individual was like, "Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense." And Jude had worked with her for like 3 or 4 years and couldn't shift some things. Then once we did that, she got to the point where she could release, what was happening with the phenomena that she perceived within the skin, all these internal things that was happening, and it was because it was soul retrieval, and that's one thing that most humans are not to do, is trained to, is soul retrieval. We're not told that we live that way. So, but that's really, I think, what what we're about to do, and go in. We're going to go in and do soul retrieval, or any places where your soul still feels like it's either incomplete, or there may be a place, where you feel like a part of you is lodged somewhere else and you don't have access to it. But we're gonna go out there on the cosmic, in the universe, and pull every nanoparticle of your expression back in. The fact that I'm articulating it to you, the fact that you're hearing it, you don't have to be conscious of it. You don't have to track it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to know it. But know that that's the depth of the work we're going to do in this meditation tonight. And because I've already articulated it, then that's what's going to happen. So, again, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is that what we're supposed to do tonight? I don't know. I didn't know that going into the call. It just literally got articulated just right then. It's like I tell y'all, I never plan to do things. I don't know what I'm doing in them. I just go in and Spirit takes me where we're going to go. So, but that's what I'm told that we're going to do, because it's the most important thing to clear within the emotional body. Now, I will say, even though it's in Cancer, that this will also work to clear the brain. It can't be just one thing. As we clear the body, it's going to clear, whatever it is, emotional baggage that you're still carrying, but it has to also clear the places in your mind where the brain wants to habituate, where the brain wants to loop. If there's a thought that stays in your mind, I want you to kind of go into that thought and say, I really want to release this, and you just go in with the intention today to do it, and it can be released, where it doesn't, it no longer holds a resonance in your field. And we all have places where we're stuck. I mean, God knows I've certainly still have places. So trust me, I'm doing this clearing as much as anybody else. But the fact that we do it together really, I think, is a frequency that really keeps a coherence with it. It's almost like there's a group accountability, because we're all here. It's like we're committing to ourselves first, of course, but because it's a group effort, we each come here in choice to assist. So that's the good thing about the group stuff like this. So, and now, even though that, I may not go and articulate, every time we do meditations, but I'm always bringing in the entire company of heaven. I bring in Mother, Father, God. I bring in all the ascended masters, the infinite presence, the archangelic kingdoms, the Elohim builders of form, the elemental kingdoms, Saint Germain and the violet flame is always there for transmutation, the diamond Christ light, and the 12 golden rays, usually what I pull in. And I don't even have to say them anymore because it's just here. Everything's just immediate. So the other thing I will tell you is that we're in a really different energetic shift. Just really quickly, yesterday I created a little miracle for myself. I was filling air in the tires on both of the vans, and the air compressor had been running for both those times, and I went down to pick up part of the end to switch it around, and there was an aluminum tube there, and I put one finger on it to lift it and move it, and I thought I was going to die. It was hot beyond. I thought the burn was. I thought I was going to have to go to the emergency room. It's just, I barely got in the house. I almost fainted. I almost passed out. I've never felt so sick. And I was like, what on earth was that all about? Oh, dear God. I was praying for it was constant. I just immediately moved into, I just begged. It was just, everything. I pulled everybody in. I went in, got a piece of ice, put it on my finger. I had to lay down. I don't see how I didn't pass out. The pain was excruciating. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have this awful burn on my finger. What have I done? Why did I do? There was no rhyme or reason for me to have done that. I remember Jude saying she'd done a couple things like that. And she was like, it made no sense. And I immersed my hand in cool, cold water, and I did it all night long, off and on, off and on. When I went to bed, there was no pain. There was no, it was like starting to bubble up. I thought I was going to have a big blister. You can't even see it. Internally, I don't know if there's damage to tissues. I sat in presence with it. I brought in all the elemental kingdoms. But I was so blown away from the moment that I went into this shock. I took power, and I brought in Mother God, and I brought in every type of energy for healing and doing. And I just did it by myself. I didn't call it, didn't ask for assistance or anything. It could be just that putting it in cold water off and on for 5 or 6 hours shifted it. Today it's tender, somewhat, but nothing like. It's almost like it didn't happen. And I'm like, did I create a little miracle for myself? This thing was so hot. It just, and this is Mars, Uranus. Mars is fire, it's action. Uranus is lightning, shocking. That's my Mars, Uranus. I got popped. Or did I bring it to myself to know that I could create the miraculous and shift that? And I've been sitting with that all day, between yesterday and today. It makes no sense. And I'm not going to question it. Maybe it's in a place where like Tony Robbins, walks people across hot coals. Maybe I shifted it. Maybe I shifted reality. Maybe that's the whole point of this configuration that we're in. What if you can shift anything in your life like that? What if we bring circumstances in to test the waters in our perception of reality? What can we shift? I did not identify with it. The biggest problem is when we identify with pain. If you identify with it, then you're owning it and you accept it and you keep it and you store it and you keep it as baggage. So if you have any pain like that, if you have any, whatever it is, I don't care what you're carrying, you can release it. Anything with family, especially, this is Cancer is family, this is retrograde in family, let it go. This is also your home as much as possible, and I am speaking from necessary experience that I need to do too. Clear out your home. If you don't need it, we are invited to let it go. There's something about going into less densification. We don't want to carry a huge amount of the material world with us. I'm not saying get rid of, things you enjoy and, that you make a nice home with. I am saying that if it doesn't energetically fit you as a frequency anymore, please release it, because it may keep you from being able to move forward quickly in the way this energy is going to play out. And I'm talking to myself. I'm hearing myself. Trust me. So, okay. Well, anyway, the point is, a situation came. Didn't understand why I did it. It created a miraculous shift. I thought I was going to have some medical emergency. I shifted it. It went away, and I was blown away. I thought it had tissue damage. I'm saying I think that's the energy that we're in. And so I really think that we're taking our power in that way. And I think that's what we're all being invited into with this. So, okay, on that note, just imagine all of everyone I talked about still here in presence and assisting us with shifting all of this. And imagine yourself, if it's necessary, if you're called, imagine yourself plopping out there all through the universe, jumping across planets, just as pure awareness. It's all immediate. You really go through all of these rabbit holes. It's like you could jump through the conscious, spaces out there. There's basically wormholes. But that really is the natural state. So, okay. On that note, so let's go deep dive. Okay, everybody. It's been a long meditation. So I hope this has worked for you and cleared out your core. And yeah. So anyway, thanks for being with us, and we will till next time. Much love and many blessings.